Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Snappy Sundays with Darling Nickie. It is week 4, and this week we are all talking about testosterone. So, without further ado, here's Nickie's take on testosterone and hormone replacement therapy, etc. I will start off by saying that Gabe has been on testosterone for just over 4 months, and I would like to first talk a little bit about what hoops he had to jump through to get his testosterone. He had to have private and group therapy, which he attended for about 3 months before his therapist wrote him his T letter. Then, the first time he visited his wonderful doctor, she really is wonderful, the first time he visited her, he actually was able to get his prescription. He started off on 50 milligrams and did that for like 2 weeks, but one shot lasted 2 weeks. Then 2 weeks later, he got bumped up to 100 milligrams, and then the next 2 weeks later, he started at 200 milligrams. He was doing 200 milligram shots every other week, but found that he was having too many highs and lows, and at the end of the 2-week period, he was getting really crabby and irritable. So he requested to switch to shots of 100 milligrams once a week. So that's what he does now. He does his shots on Mondays, and they're 100 milligrams once a week, which has been, going very well, I guess. So he does those on Mondays. Like I said, he's been on T for 4 months. He had to do a checkup with his doctor after 3 months, and then he won't go back until December for his next checkup. So everything's going well. We've noticed some changes, and he's talked about those in his videos, but I'll talk about some of the changes that I've noticed over the 4 months. For one, his voice has gotten a lot lower. Like, he doesn't think it has, and likes to complain and say that it hasn't. But it totally has. It's gotten a lot lower. He gets more irritable than he used to, but that got a lot more evened out when he switched his shots to 100 once a week. That kind of helped fix it a little bit. He's definitely had an increase in sexual appetite and regular appetite. He eats so much faster. This one day we cooked out on the grill, and we made hamburgers, and we were eating at our dining room table, and I went to just go in the kitchen to grab some ketchup, and I came back and his whole hamburger was just gone. I was like, did you seriously eat that in the time it took me to walk to the kitchen, get the ketchup, turn around and walk back? And the answer was yes. So yeah, he's been extremely hungry, and also his given parts have increased in size, if you know what I'm saying. Going back to the food thing for 1 second, though, I want to stress to those of you who may not know, although if you're on T or your partner's on T, I'm sure you know this, guys who are on testosterone need a really big intake of protein, and so they really should be, well, I know that for Gabe, I really try to help remind him that he needs to be doing high protein, low carb. So he does protein shakes every day if he doesn't eat protein in some other way. Now, keep in mind that a serving size of protein is not as big as you think, so it doesn't mean you have to eat 5 hamburgers or 10 steaks in a day, but just keep in mind of keeping your protein intake up. So Gabe does that. What are some different kinds of HRT? There are only 2 kinds of hormone replacement therapy that I know of. There's traditional HRT, and then there's something that's called CHRT. I don't want to really touch on CHRT because I know Doris's husband does CHRT, and so I'm going to let her talk about that. She knows a lot about it and can refer you to some websites. So I'm going to leave that for Doris to talk about. But one thing that is different about different kinds of HRT or different kinds of testosterone is how the testosterone's made. And I know that some testosterone that guys do is not bioidentical to human male testosterone, but is derived from animals and stuff like that. So we did a lot of research about that, and as it turns out, the pharmacy where Gabe gets his testosterone compounds their own. So it is bioidentical, and we did look into that. So that's something you might want to check into with your doctor or your pharmacist, making sure that your testosterone is going to be healthy for you and is the healthiest and most bioidentical that you can get, which we did. The next thing I'll talk about is what kinds of testosterone there are, and again, there are only 2 kinds of testosterone that I know of, and I guess they're not even kinds of testosterone, they're ways of administering the testosterone, and that would be injections, and there's topical gel. So I'm going to kind of talk about the difference between those. Somebody that I knew did the gel, more specifically he was on androgel, and that's sort of a topical kind of, it really is like gel. It's kind of like Purell, but it gets like sticky after it dries, or it dries and then it's like a film kind of on their skin. And he had to apply that to his chest and shoulders every morning after showering, and then that testosterone gel would stay on his skin for 24 hours till he washed it off and put it on again. Now, people say that this is safer and that it helps keep a steady flow of testosterone in your bloodstream, and you might read about that, but I don't know how I feel about the gel. I think that the changes were pretty much the same as somebody who would be on injections for the first few months, but then after that I do think that the changes on the gel, they sort of plateau, and whereas if you're on the injections, you keep seeing more changes. That's what I've noticed with the people and friends of mine who have done injections or the gel. The other thing about the gel that you have to be really careful about is women and children cannot come in contact with that gel at all. So for guys who may have children or partners, it can be particularly challenging because really you can't touch that at all. You cannot come in contact with that gel. And that's really, 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 really important. So that's what I know about the gel. The injections, I don't know as much about, but Gabe is doing the injections, and I can tell you that from our experiences, my experiences with him and my experiences with other friends that we have who have done injections, we've noticed, a steady change as they progress on T, and so that's what I would say about that. I mean, is it difficult to inject? I don't know. I don't do that. Gabe's never had a problem with doing his own shots, but I know that some guys might struggle with doing that at first, but maybe, you could find somebody else who could do it for you or help you out, that kind of thing. So that's what I would say about the gel versus the injections. My next question is hormone replacement therapy necessary? Do guys have to do it in order to be considered male? And my answer to that would be no. I would say definitely not. I don't think that your voice, your body hair, your genitals, I don't think any of those things make you male or female gender-wise, personally. I think that's all up here. So no, I don't think the HRT is necessary. If a guy wants to do it and can do it physically, financially, emotionally, whatever, then I'm supportive of that, but I don't think it's completely necessary by any means. So that's my take on hormone replacement therapy and testosterone. One more thing I wanted to add is the names of a few doctors that I know of in Ohio. Where's my sheet? There are quite a few doctors and endocrinologists up at the Cleveland Clinic that are pretty spectacular. I believe that the one doctor that works with HRT is Dr. Rogers. I think that is his name, at the Cleveland Clinic. I also would highly recommend, if you're in the Columbus area or if you can drive to the Columbus area in Ohio, I highly recommend Dr. Trainin. She is Gabe's physician, and she is a family practitioner, physician, but she does work with a large trans population in her office, and she's absolutely wonderfully sweet and funny, and I highly recommend her. So if you're in Ohio, those would be the ones I would recommend. Also, if you know Josh or Heather, I don't know what doctor he sees, but I have the feeling it might be the same doctor. I don't know. But if you know them on here, they also live in Ohio. They don't live too far from us, actually. So those would be good people to ask about doctors, other doctors in Ohio. So that's all I have to tell you about testosterone this week, and I will look forward to seeing the other transcribers' videos. Again, we still have a couple spots open, so if you're interested, please go ahead and send us a message. And I will see you all next week for another edition of Snappy Sundays with Darling Nickie.